a very, very, very overdue update on Christmas Eve. Okay, so Jake and I were just putting in the last of the irises, the bearded irises and Japanese irises. And this is the peony field. So peonies, deer don't fool with them, and I figured why not put them outside of the deer fence. I've got 3 rows of 25, 3.5 rows of 25. And then here I've got some yarrow and some echinopsis. This is going to be the perennial flower garden. And I think my last episode was the deer fence install. And of course the wind blows as soon as I start filming, but they did a beautiful job. So I'll go up this way. These were the horse gates from the 1940s stock barn that we took down in March. So I just painted them blue. You can see that the subflooring is up on the big barn, and we'll go walk up there. Come on. Okay, this still has to be painted, but here is where I'm going to try and do a Belgian fence with some apple trees. Never done that before, but we're going to try it out. Here's the orchard. I just yesterday did a lot of composting on the trees, and also when the fence guys were here I asked them to dig holes with their augers for trees that are coming in the spring, because this soil is no joke. It is so hard to dig, but I've got compost, topsoil, and lime, and I'm going to mix that in and it'll be a nice hole for the trees. Okay, so the fence came out beautiful. Over here, that's where some grapes are going in March. Not much else new in the orchard except the fence being around it. I've got strawberries and garlic in the ground here. I've got Sweet Charlie and Chandler strawberries and 4 different kinds of garlic. And I always tell myself, oh, you'll remember which ones you're planting where, and I don't. You can see the garlic's already coming up. And I know what 4 kinds I bought and planted, I just don't know which is which. Okay, so you've already seen the doghouse greenhouse, the little greenhouse compared to that one. Here is where I've put in blueberry boxes. So a lot of research has shown lately that blueberries actually do better in raised boxes because they're extremely particular about their soil. They're very sensitive to pH, and so built these. I've got this one is not finished yet, but there's blueberries in here, and I thought it would be kind of nice to create this area like 2 little picnic bays, because the blueberries will get pretty tall, and create a shrub. Now they'll lose their leaves in the winter, but during the summer it'll be kind of a nice shrub. Here's another fence I painted today. So I've been doing a lot of gardening all around. I've got lilacs, lots of bulbs in, irises, all over the place. Oop, very muddy right now. Okay, so here, this is the back end of the peony garden. I got a load of topsoil brought in and a load of mushroom compost because the soil is all full of clay here. I need to mix a lot of that good compost in. Now, if you remember in the first video, where I'm walking is pretty much where that old stock barn was. We've got the new pole barn, and I planted different hollies on each side, different Japanese holly. On this side is called Soft Touch, and this one, it's not compacta, I can't remember the name, but I wanted something that looked like boxwood, but was more resilient to disease and a little bit quicker growing. So I ended up doing Japanese holly. This barn came out really beautiful. Okay, now we're going to get to a lot of changes up there, but before we go, here's the temp pole from Middle Tennessee Electric that's pulling from this pole. It's going to this one, so it's a little closer to the big barn, and the electric pole for the big barn can't be put in until the driveway is done. And right behind it, I was just working on it this morning. There's baby, taking a snooze. There she is. And that's a little memorial garden. I just put a whole bunch of white daffodils in there, and white muscari and white iris. So I thought that was kind of a nice little nook, and I'll do a memorial garden there with lots of different white flowers. Okay. So it's about 65 degrees on Christmas Eve, not bad. But it's gonna get, this coming week is supposed, the temps are gonna drop. All right, this here, I don't remember the right word for it, but it's, I'll say template. So this is like a sample board, maybe that's what it is, a sample board of like what the big barn will look like. And it's an opportunity to test out paint and what we want before it goes on the big structure. So the two left panels are one color and the two right panels are another color. And we're doing board and batten poplar, which has a lot of yellow undertone. And this actually turns out to be too green. And this is more blue. This is a bluer, I don't know, more pigment is maybe the right word. So I'm gonna go with the two on the right. I had to get that custom done at Hoover Paint. Same roof that matches the pole barn. And then on the bottom, I'm not sure if we're gonna do brick or kind of like a stone facade, but we're gonna paint it like a creamy white. So this will end up being whatever white I choose, and the brick will be painted white, and so it'll be blue and white. Okay, so here's how everything looks from up here. All right, so a lot has happened here. This is what I will call the big barn. Now, if you remember, this is where the pole barn used to be that got disassembled and pieces of it reused in the new pole barn. So that was on this pad. And I'll go up on the hill here so you can get a better view. But we've got slab poured and the subfloor in. Now the slab, that's the barn portion. Where there's subfloor, that's going to be HVAC. That's going to be more like living quarters, you know, office and things like that. And the slab part is going to be more of like the functional barn. These bricks out here, this is a porch. And there's all the building materials. So it's pretty neat. So as we were building, Justin, my builder, we were initially going to do concrete stem wall, but we got priced out because it's just concrete is extremely expensive. So concrete's the most expensive. The cheapest is block. And if you core fill the block, see how the block has all those holes in it and rebar? It was the same all the way around. And what happened, we had a concrete truck come and then the concrete pump, and it pumped, the guys put the concrete in the block hole. So it was called core filling. It was pretty cool to watch. I have a video I'll probably just post at the end of this so you can see what it looked like. But it's a good mix of, you know, security of the concrete blocks that have, they're the blocks with concrete poured in the holes, but it's not as expensive as doing true concrete stem walls. Okay, so they're expecting to frame probably in about 2 weeks. We've had really good weather lately. I'm hoping that's gonna stay the same. It's very windy up here. This tarp blew off, but the guys will be back. I think tomorrow's Christmas, so on Tuesday, I would think. All right, so here's all my salvage, and I've been salvaging more and more. I just sorted out on Wednesday with the builders. We had to go through each door that I've bought and write where it's going so that when the men come to frame, they know where to put it. So, you know, in a typical build with modern materials, they're all very standard, but I'm doing a lot of salvage. So, you know, bath 1, foyer closet, bedroom closet, and we had to go through so that when the framers come, there's no confusion. And it's going to be harder for them. I mean, the doors maybe were cheaper than buying a new door, but it's probably going to end up costing me more in labor because most of these don't have jambs. It's going to take more time for the guys to measure each doorway individually, but to me it's worth it because that's like I'm trying to find some, see that, look at that doorknob, and I don't see any hinges here to show you, but you know, like I've said before, I want when you're in my building for it not to feel new. There's pieces from the old stock barn that we're going to be using too. There was a couple horse gates left after we put some in the orchard. This is what they look like. Porches that I found on Facebook Marketplace. I need to get off Facebook Marketplace. The horses are out back. They actually got out and they're in a back field having a good old time. I don't know if I'll be able to find them while I'm filming. Let's see. They're back in this field over here, but it's actually fenced in. I was able to shut the gate, and there's a lot of really good grass back there, so Merry Christmas to them. Come on, buddy, stop whining. Okay, here, this is pretty interesting. This is a storm cellar root cellar. So in Tennessee, which is very different than New York, you get unbelievable storm, like tornado scary storms. And so here, they had to put all this bracing in to get the, I guess they call it the lid or the cap. But this is going to be a storm shelter and also a place to keep, you know, apples, wine, like I guess a root cellar. And you won't be able to access it from the house, but you'll access it from the outside. And I wanted it that way because if I'm ever not home, I want Danny's family and neighbors to be able to get somewhere safe if they want. So there will be like I don't know if I'll do a Bilco door or what, but something like that. There's for HVAC. Where are those guys? I don't know. Okay, so I mean that's pretty much it. Lots going on. Planting a ton. Building. I mean, I'm not personally building, but I've made my flooring selections. I've made my appliance selections. I figured out what wood stove I want. All of that stuff I'm doing, and I'm communicating with the builders as we go forward. So there's the future horse stable. So it'll be kind of neat. Like my tack room is going to be like a tack to store all of the equipment, but also kind of like a speakeasy. And I'm doing a Dutch door in between the tack and the stable so that you can be hanging out and then open the door and give the horse a carrot. And there's Baby and Jonah, unsure what I'm doing. Down there, very good buddies. There's the peony field. So that's the update. All is good. Just a lot going on, and I have not been very diligent with recording. But it's gonna go pretty fast. I think the idea is to have this finished by mid-June, and it's gonna go pretty quick.